program.
Yeah.
And for the audience, for people who don't know, there's 14 meta programs, which is just a small section of what NLP offers. And in a given context, a person will be a person going toward their goal, wanting something, achieving something, or away.
Right, and you know, one or the other isn't bad, but people tend to use their move to or move away strategy unconsciously. They're not aware of it.
Right.
It's a powerful meta program because it's so primitive.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned there's no value judgment. There's no good and bad and toward or away. And I taught a class the other night on meta programs, and there were a few people in the audience that talked about, well, shouldn't I want my children to be more proactive and toward? And my response was, you can want your children to be anyway, but how they are is just fine. Our culture supports and values proactive, go-get-'em kind of folks, but there's a lot of space for more passive, away from people.
Yes, and I think with children, because I work with children, you say, okay, this is good, but you could also try this, and I find children can be very receptive, and just if it's presented in the right way.
Now you've piqued my curiosity. I want to interview you about what you do with children. How fun.
Well, I've got some case studies on my website.
Oh, look.
All right. Anything else you want to say about truly human coaching that you haven't addressed so far? Well, you know, let me ask you this. Somebody says, I really want to do this truly human coaching.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want a job change. I want my relationship to work better. How many appointments? How long are your appointments? You know, how would you work with that particular?
Some of the logistics.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you brought up two different things, career issues or relationship issues.
Yeah, those are the two biggies.
Those are biggies.
Well,
yeah.
and the health would be the
health,
next one.
Diet. I want to lose weight, get in shape. But yeah. So let's say that the person had both of those things. I'm not happy in my career and having some trouble in my relationship. The first thing I would find out is where their problems are. You know, is what they want able to be done in the world? Can they do it? Are they physically able to do it? Physically and mentally able to do it?
And do you do this assessment through a series of questioning?
Oh, yes. During the first session or two is when we find out what does that person really want, and what area do they need to focus on in order to get it. For shorter term things like organization, time management, reducing stress, I would say 2 sessions a month for maybe 3 months.
And do you do an hour session, 2-hour session?
50 minutes, yeah. Yeah. When I work with couples, I'll extend that time depending on the kind of work that's going on in the sessions to 90 minutes.
And do you work with entire families?
Sometimes, but not much anymore. There's a couple young adults and their parents that have contracted with me, and I'm meeting with all of them to start.
So you see them on an individual basis, and then going to work together with the whole group.
Yeah, in this particular case, yes. It varies.
Now, a lot of people don't know that the family therapy actually started with psychiatrist and hypnotist Dr. Milton Erickson.
Yes.
And so, and then Erickson, Richard Bandler, Tom Grindler, studied Erickson, and from that, NLP started.
Yes. Yeah. Erickson was a genius.
Yes. Yeah, and from this area, too. And some of his, he's from Lowell, Wisconsin.
Yeah, almost all of my coaching that I do includes some kind of hypnosis or meditation during the session. I don't think there's a call, and most of my sessions are on the phone too. I don't think there's a call that goes by when I don't say, okay, how about let's close your eyes now and take in a breath and go somewhere.
Now, is it hard to work with people over the phone?
No, it's incredibly easy. For me, I'm a bit empathic. So I get a good felt sense, whether they're 40 miles away or 400 miles away. And I hear more in their words and tone of voice over the phone than most people hear in person.
Now, I know some people that do phone work, they record their sessions. Do you do that for your clients? Do you record for your clients?
I have. I don't do it regularly, though. What I do is really train them to use their own brain and train them to go into meditation and to do whatever personal work they're doing there.
Now, do you have a favorite meditation technique, or is that, well, what types of meditation do you work with?
Well, I have a favorite meditation technique. I close my eyes, take in a few breaths, and ground, and then go to different places from there.
Are you using like light or anything to ground yourself, or just the feelings?
Visualization. So, excuse me. I'll imagine on the base of my spine, my lower chakra, and I'll guide my clients through this as well. And imagine them dropping a grounding cord or a large root or something into the earth and dropping that to the center of the earth and hooking on.
Now, is there any particular reason why you start with the root or the base and then go to the earth first?
Yes. It's what I was taught.
Okay. And it works.
Yes, yeah. I'll talk about gravity during that initial grounding. So it's a favorite one because it's very settling, and the response from my clients is, wow, this is very peaceful. And it gives them a chance to know they're in their chair while I guide them on visualizations in other places. Yeah.
And how do you construct your visualizations, or what do your visualizations entail?
What they entail really is the what I consider metaphysical work of the relationships with the young ones that we have inside. The wounded or the natural parts of ourselves that we so often push aside. Some people refer to them as our shadow selves.
Right, and parts therapy, that's NLP.
That's
as well.
exactly what I do. And most of the time, for instance, I'm working with someone and they'll say, oh, I'm really, I start thinking of cold calling as an example, and I get really nervous. So I'll say, great, who's nervous? And they'll say, well, what do you mean? And they'll either have a picture or a voice that they'll hear, and I'll say, well, whose voice is that? Well, it sounds young. So let's say it's an 8-year-old voice. Well, that's the part of them that's feeling afraid. And so during the meditation, I'll have them build relationship with that part. And what often happens is that same part or similar parts keep showing up in people's lives and scaring the heck out of them.
Also, when I hear you tell that story, I think of the psychological defense regression, because they're regressing from the present to that 8-year-old voice and start feeling the anxiety or nervousness that they had when they were 8.
And it's a great way to put it. And they not only regress back to that emotional state, but they also regress back into the, how do I deal with this? Well, not like an 8-year-old, because it didn't work anymore.
Yeah.
So,
I love Einstein's quote, who said you can't change a problem with the same mind that created it. So you got to be of a different mind, a different body. And
Right.
I think your meditation or visualization helps people go to a place of a different mind and body where they can change things.
yes, and that's exactly what I do. And in the longer coaching that I do, I'll work with people 2 or 3 or more years, and really they check in and say, here's what's showing up, I'm not sure what to do with it. And we'll go in and we'll find out what's showing up that's causing them trouble, what part of them. Normally it's a familiar part. And we'll do some guided meditation for them to use in the next couple weeks between our calls.